The chandeliers above dripped with light like molten fire, each crystal shard reflecting 100 glimmers across the grand ballroom. Music swelled, violins and cellos weaving a haunting waltz through the air. Gold and silver gowns swirled, gentlemen's laughter thundered, and the clink of champagne flutes rose like chimes in a cathedral. It was a night of power disguised as celebration, a masquerade of wealth. It's the kind of night where enemies circled each other like wolves dressed in silk. And into this glittering storm walked Seraphina Duskbane. At 22, she was already a legend. Heiress. To one of the richest dynasties in the city, her beauty was whispered about as if it were a weapon, something too sharp to hold. Her gown was a living flame silk, the color of deep crimson, molded to her body as though the fabric itself worshipped her curves. A diamond choker sat at her throat, fierce as a blade, and her hair black as midnight, spilled down her back in waves that shimmered when she moved. As she entered, silence rippled through the crowd. Even the orchestra seemed to falter for a heartbeat. She did not look at them. She never did. Attention was her birthright, not her concern. But he noticed. Across the ballroom, standing half in shadow near the balcony, was Lucien Vale. 28, tall, broad-shouldered, a man who carried arrogance the way other men carried swords. His suit was black, tailored to perfection, accented only by a single silver pin at his lapel. His dark hair fell slightly across his brow, and his jaw sharp clean. Relentless was locked in an expression of amused detachment. Unlike everyone else in the room, he did not straighten when she entered. He did not pretend not to look. He watched her openly, with the smug curl of a mouth that said he had already decided something about her. Seraphina felt it immediately, the heat of his gaze. Her eyes flicked toward him, and for one sharp, electric moment, the world shrank to the space between them. Their eyes collided, hers a blazing amber lined with coal, his storm, gray and taunting. She hated the way he smirked, as if mocking her without words, as if daring her to notice him. So she did what she always did when men stared too long. She lifted her chin, expression carved from ice, and walked past him. But he moved. By the time she reached the gilded archway leading toward the terrace, Lucien Vale was already there, blocking the path as though the ballroom had bent itself around his will. Lady Duskbane, gada. His voice was smooth, low, dangerous in the way velvet can hide knives. He bowed slightly, but the mocking tilt of his mouth poisoned the gesture. You grace the evening like wildfire. She stopped, slowly, deliberately. She turned her gaze on him. Lucien Vale, she said coolly, her tone wrapping his name in disdain. I should have known the stench of smoke came from somewhere. The corner of his lips twitched. Already a compliment. I was beginning to worry you'd forgotten how to flirt. I don't flirt, she said, her eyes narrowing. And if I did, it wouldn't be with you? Lucien chuckled, low in his chest, stepping just close enough to test her boundaries. The faintest trace of Colin-spiced amber and smoke clung to him. Then consider this practice. Her diamond choker glimmered as she tilted her head. What do you want, Vale? Want? He feigned innocence, lifting his wine glass and swirling the red liquid lazily. Only a conversation. I find them infinitely more satisfying than the empty chatter of sycophants. You mean the people who pay your family to destroy their rivals for sport? Lucien sipped his wine, unbothered. You say it like it's immoral. I prefer efficient. Seraphina let out a soft laugh, sharp as shattered glass. Efficient? That's what you call betrayal? Bribery? Blackmail? That's what I call survival, he said, his voice dropping an octave, the smirk fading for just a breath. A word I imagine you understand. Her hand tightened on the stem of her champagne glass. He had touched something real, and she hated him for it. Seraphina took a measured step closer, their bodies a breath apart now. Around them laughter and music swelled, but here, in this space, carved by tension, there was only fire and smoke. Listen to me, Vale, she whispered, her lips so close to his ear that he could feel her words graze his skin. You may smirk and posture and play your little games. But with me, her eyes burned into his, you will lose. Lucien's grin returned, slow, deliberate, infuriating. He tilted his head, meeting her gaze without flinching. Seraphina, he murmured, tasting her name like it was wine. I don't play to win, play to make sure the other person never forgets me. The air between them sparked, invisible but undeniable. For one dangerous moment she could see herself, his mouth, his eyes. As Nernison, she despised how thrilling the thought was. So she did what she always did with dangerous men. She turned away. "Stay out of my way, Vale," she said, her heels striking like gunshots against the marble as she walked toward the ballroom again. Behind her, Lucien's voice followed, low and rich, carrying just enough to reach her ears. "Not a chance, my lady." And when she looked back just once, against her will, he was still watching her. Storm-gray eyes alive with something she refused to name. The music swelled, the crowd danced, and the game had begun.